Am I the asshole for refusing to allow my sister-in-law's service dog at my wedding? I never thought I'd be back here asking for judgment, but wedding planning has turned into an absolute minefield, and I desperately need some outside perspective before I lose my mind completely. The background is messy, so bear with me. I'm getting married in exactly 5 months to the love of my life, and we just sent out invitations last week. What should have been an exciting milestone has instead triggered the most brutal family drama I've ever experienced. The players in this disaster. My sister-in-law. She's married to my fiancé's brother, and to put it bluntly, she's been a thorn in our side for years. About 5 years ago, she was diagnosed with brain cancer, which was absolutely devastating. The treatment left her with a seizure disorder. She experiences episodes 3 to 4 times per week where she gets about 20 seconds of dizziness as a warning before losing consciousness for several minutes. It's genuinely terrifying, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone. Because of this condition, she has a medical alert service dog, a beautiful Labrador who can sense her seizures 1 to 2 minutes before they happen. This gives her crucial time to get to a safe place, lie down, and warn people around her. The dog is absolutely incredible at his job, and honestly, an angel of an animal. The problem? My sister-in-law is, well, she's not an angel. She's consistently rude, argumentative, and has this habit of making completely false claims about topics in mine and my fiancé's professional fields. I work in medicine, he's in environmental biology. When we politely correct misinformation that could actually be harmful if spread, she absolutely loses it. Screaming, name-calling, the works. We've learned to just smile and nod to keep the peace. But it's exhausting. We tolerate her because my brother-in-law genuinely loves her, and we love him. My sister, Maid of Otter. On the complete opposite end of the spectrum is my sister, who is literally my favorite person on this planet. She's my maid of honor, my best friend, and the most selfless person I know. Here's the crushing part. She has severe allergies to dogs, and I mean severe. We're not talking about a little sniffling here. Within minutes of being in the same room as a dog, her eyes turn bright red and swell up, she starts sneezing uncontrollably, and develops breathing problems that border on asthma attacks. It's genuinely terrifying, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone. But here's the reality. If she's trapped in a closed room with a dog for 5 hours, our ceremony and reception timeline, she's going to have a severe asthma attack. It's not a maybe, it's a guarantee. The impossible choice. My fiancé and I found ourselves facing an absolutely horrible dilemma. We want our sister-in-law to be safe and comfortable at our wedding. We also desperately want my sister, my maid of honor, my rock, my person, to be able to breathe and enjoy what should be one of the best days of both our lives. Our venue is a beautiful but intimate 50-person space. There's no way to separate them enough to prevent my sister's reaction, and an outdoor winter wedding simply isn't possible. More on that later. After agonizing over this for weeks, we came up with what we thought was a reasonable compromise. We know that my brother-in-law is incredibly attentive to his wife's condition. He knows all her warning signs, he's been through this with her hundreds of times, and he never leaves her side during social events. We also offered to allow them to bring an additional guest, essentially a dedicated helper, so she'd have extra support throughout the event. Our thinking was that between her husband's constant presence and an additional support person, she'd be as safe as possible while allowing my sister to participate fully in our wedding. How it all went wrong. We wanted to have this conversation face-to-face because it's such a sensitive topic. We arranged lunch with my sister-in-law to discuss everything openly and work out a solution together. But she canceled at the last minute, and we were under pressure to get our invitations finalized and sent. So we made what was probably a mistake. We sent her a detailed message explaining our situation, our concerns for both her safety and my sister's health, and our proposed solutions. We thought we were being considerate by giving her time to process everything without the pressure of having to respond immediately in a face-to-face conversation. We were wrong. The phone call I received the next day was unlike anything I've ever experienced. She was absolutely screaming, calling me ableist, accusing me of trying to strip away her medical support, claiming I wanted her to make a scene at the wedding and potentially get a concussion from falling during a seizure. The words she used were so harsh and hurtful that I'm still processing it days later. My brother-in-law's response? Whatever she says goes. No discussion, no attempt to understand our position, no acknowledgement of the impossible situation we're in. Just complete, unwavering support for his wife's stance. Then my future mother-in-law got involved. She's now furious and threatening to boycott our entire wedding if we don't allow the service dog. The family is choosing sides, and it's getting uglier by the day. The constraints we're working with. Before anyone suggests alternatives, let me explain why our options are so limited. Timing? We chose a winter wedding specifically because my sister-in-law, BIL, and several other family members travel extensively during other parts of the year. We literally picked the only time when my fiancé's entire family could attend. Venue. We didn't choose our location arbitrarily. We need wheelchair accessibility because both my grandmother and my fiancé's aunt require wheelchairs. In our city, this venue was the only option that met our accessibility needs, could accommodate our guest count, and was available during our required time frame. We even went over budget to secure it. Medical urgency. My grandmother is currently undergoing medical treatment, and we don't know how much longer she'll be able to travel. This wedding might be our last chance to celebrate with her, which makes postponing feel impossible. No outdoor options. Winter weather makes any outdoor ceremony completely impractical, and our venue doesn't have the space for proper separation. Where I'm struggling. I keep going back and forth on whether I'm being reasonable or if I'm actually the monster my sister-in-law says I am. On one hand, I understand that her service dog isn't just a pet. It's legitimate medical equipment that keeps her safe. I would never want anything to happen to her, and the thought of her having a seizure at our wedding is absolutely terrifying. On the other hand, my sister's allergies aren't a minor inconvenience. They're a serious medical issue too. She's going to be standing next to me for the entire ceremony, helping me get ready, giving a speech, and participating in all the traditional maid of honor duties. If she can't breathe or can barely see through swollen, streaming eyes, she won't be able to do any of that. And honestly, I want her to look and feel beautiful in our wedding photos, not like she's suffering through a medical crisis. I also can't shake the feeling that my sister-in-law's reaction was so extreme and immediately hostile that it makes me wonder if she's using this situation to create drama. She's done similar things before, taking reasonable requests and turning them into character assassinations. But then I feel guilty for thinking that, because her medical condition is real and serious. The family fallout. The worst part of all this is watching my fiancé's family tear itself apart. His mother is putting enormous pressure on us to just deal with my sister's allergies, suggesting she take stronger medication, which doesn't exist, or just step outside when needed. During the ceremony, during her maid of honor speech, my brother-in-law, who I've always had a good relationship with, won't even talk to us now. He's completely shut down communication and is letting his wife speak for both of them. Meanwhile, my side of the family is outraged on my sister's behalf, and I'm caught in the middle trying to keep everyone calm while planning what's supposed to be the happiest day of my life. What I'm really asking, I guess what I need to know is, am I actually being discriminatory here? Is there a solution I'm not seeing? Is it unreasonable to ask someone to attend an event without their service animal when their spouse will be present as support? Am I prioritizing the wrong person's needs? I've always believed that when medical needs conflict, you try to find creative solutions that accommodate everyone. But what happens when there literally isn't a solution that works for both people? I'm also struggling with the guilt of potentially excluding someone from our wedding over this, but also the guilt of asking my sister to suffer through what should be a joyful experience. Reddit, am I the asshole for suggesting my sister-in-law attend our wedding without her service dog, given that her husband will be there for support and my maid of honor has severe allergies that would make the event miserable for her? Update. Thank you to everyone who's commented so far. This is exactly the kind of outside perspective I needed, even when it's hard to hear. I'm reading every response and truly considering all viewpoints as we figure out how to move forward. Whatever we decide, I just want everyone to be safe and for our families to still be speaking to each other when this is all over. Top comment. You are the asshole. And I say this as someone who's been exactly where your sister-in-law is. My daughter has epilepsy, and her service dog has literally saved her life dozens of times. When people suggest she just bring extra support instead of her dog, what they're really saying is, your medical needs are negotiable. They're not. I get that your sister has allergies, but there are solutions here you haven't explored. Air purifiers, allergy shots leading up to the wedding, even changing the venue layout. What you can't do is ask someone to separate from their lifeline. That dog isn't just alerting to seizures, he's preventing serious injury and potential death. Your sister-in-law called it right. This is ableist, even if you don't mean it to be. Edit. Just saw your comment about trying air purifiers. Have you looked into getting your sister on a steroid course before the wedding? My allergist did this for my son's wedding when his bride's family had cats. Comment. ESH, but leaning toward NTH. I've been planning weddings for 8 years, and this is honestly my worst nightmare scenario. Medical needs versus medical needs with no perfect solution. That said, OP, your sister-in-law's reaction was way over the top. Screaming and name-calling? Not okay, regardless of the situation. And your BIL shutting down all communication is just making this worse. But here's the thing. You might need to accept that someone's going to be uncomfortable at your wedding. Can you get a bigger venue? Delay the wedding? Because right now you're asking your sister-in-law to choose between attending your wedding and her safety, and that's not fair. Quick question. How severe are we talking with your sister's allergies? Like EpiPen severe or just miserable severe? Because that changes my judgment completely. Comment. NTA. Fellow severe allergy sufferer here. People who don't have serious allergies don't understand how debilitating they can be. I had a friend bring her dog to my birthday party once, despite knowing about my allergies, because it's just sniffles, right? I ended up in the ER. Your sister is your MOH. She should be able to participate fully in your wedding, not spend it hiding in the bathroom trying to breathe. And honestly, if I were taking photos as the MOH with swollen, streaming eyes and couldn't stop sneezing during the vows, I'd be mortified. The fact that your sister never complains about it makes it worse, not better. She's probably downplaying how bad it really gets. Can you ask your sister-in-law to keep the dog in a separate room during the ceremony and photos, then bring him for the reception? Even that might be too much exposure, but it's a compromise. Comment. Info. What's your relationship with BIL normally like? Because his response of whatever she says goes is weird, like really weird. Is he normally this passive? Or is there something else going on here? I ask because I was in a somewhat similar situation with my brother and his wife. Turned out he was so terrified of her having medical episodes that he developed this habit of just agreeing with everything she said to avoid any stress that might trigger her condition. It wasn't healthy for either of them. Not saying that's what's happening here, but the fact that he won't even discuss alternatives makes me wonder if there's more to this family dynamic than just the wedding conflict. Comment. Soft YTA, but I get why you're struggling with this. I've had epilepsy for 15 years, and my service dog has been with me for 7 of those years. The difference he makes in my quality of life is indescribable. Not just the medical stuff, but the confidence and independence he gives me. Here's what I think you're missing. Your sister-in-law probably feels like she's already lost so much to her condition. Her independence, her sense of safety, maybe her career or social life, and now you're asking her to give up the one thing that gives her some of that back, even temporarily. I know you offered extra human support, but it's not the same. Humans can't detect seizures 2 minutes early. Humans get distracted, go to the bathroom, get caught up in conversations. Her dog never does. That said, your sister's allergies are valid too. Could you maybe have an outdoor ceremony earlier in the day when it's warmer, then move inside for a reception after the dog leaves? Even that might be too much exposure, but it's a compromise. Comment. NTA. This is a really hard situation, but your sister-in-law handled it terribly. Look, I'm a mom to a kid with severe food allergies, so I get the medical accommodation thing from both sides. But there's a way to handle these conversations, and screaming at people isn't it. The fact that she immediately went to personal attacks instead of trying to problem solve makes me think this isn't really about the dog. It sounds like there's been tension building up for a while, and this was just the breaking point. Your wedding, your rules. You tried to find a compromise, and she shut it down with insults. At some point, you have to protect your own mental health and your sister's physical health. Also, your future mother-in-law threatening to boycott over this? That's manipulative behavior, and you shouldn't reward it by caving. My advice, stand your ground. But maybe have your fiancé reach out to his brother privately. Sometimes these situations need a man-to-man conversation to cut through the drama. Write what you think about this situation. Also, if you like this video, give a thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on the bell to receive notifications about the latest videos. See you next time. Bye-bye.